Okay, so for this first one, I'm going to draw the box. My x squared term has to go here to match this. My negative 16x has to get split evenly between these two. So that means I've got to have my negative 8x here. Sorry, kind of spoiled it there. I've got to have an x here, I've got to have an x here. That makes me have to write 64 there, which means that the thing that completes the square, the thing that C is 64. So my answer is C. Same type of question here, same strategy going on. Box method says I should have an x squared here. So that matches this. To match this here and here, I'm going to split this term in half. And to do that, I'm just going to write 19 over 2x, which makes this an x and an x and a 19 over 2 and a 19 over 2. Now, I know that this is a little bit complicated, but then when you do the multiplication to get this last box here to find out what C needs to be, then you have to do whatever 19 over 2 times 19 over 2 is. 19 times 19 is 361. 2 times 2 is 4. So that's how I would multiply that fraction, those two fractions there. So that's what's going to go here, which makes my answer letter C. Number 3, solve the equation by completing the square and solving for x. So I'm going to start with this and I'm going to rewrite it inside the box. So my x squared term matches here. I have to split the x term. So I have 12 x's, so I need to cut it in half and put half of it in each. So I'm going to put 6x here and 6x here. I have x and I have x on the outside. I'm going to have a 6 and a 6. So what am I missing inside the box right here? Whoops, I want that to be highlighted like this right here. Well, that spot needs to be 36, but the problem is I don't have 36 here. I want this to be 36, but it's not there yet. So what do I have to add to get to 80 from negative 86 plus the thing that I need to add to both sides to get 36? Well, you can solve this equation and just say plus 86, and you're going to get 122 on this side. So that means that I need to add 122 to both sides. So I'm going to rewrite that down here. I'm going to write x squared plus 12x plus, or minus 86. But then I'm going to write plus 122 equals 0 plus 122. So then what you end up with on this side is this is 36 because of what we just did here. So let's rewrite x squared plus 12x plus 36 equals 122. I can rewrite this as x plus 6 squared equals 122. And the reason I can rewrite it like this is because what we just did up in this box. Now I need to solve for x. So I'm going to rewrite as x plus 6 equals plus or minus the square root of 122. Then I need to subtract 6, minus 6. So I'm going to write x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 122. And I'm going to find the one up here that matches that. So I can cross off 1, 2, 3, and my answer has to be letter D. Okay, very last one. Similar question, except this time it says use any method. So I'm going to start by thinking about, okay, can I factor this? Because factoring feels a little bit easier to me than completing the square. So if I factor this, I'm looking for a times c is negative 72 and b is 6. And right away I'm like, you know what? Like 6 times 12 is 72. So how could I manipulate that to make it so that I add up to 6? So if I'm, and multiply to negative 72. So if I want it to be negative, then I have to pick one of these to be negative. But if I wanted to add to negative 6, then I can pick the negative 6 to be negative. So what I have is I have my factor pair, negative 6 and 12. So in box method, I'm going to be factoring this time. So I need my x squared to match here. I'm going to pick these two numbers as the coefficients on the x terms. So 6x, negative 6x, and 12x. And then I have to have my c term here. So that means I have to have negative 72 there. I'm going to guess that I have to have a negative 6 here because that's common between this term and this term. That makes me have a 12 here. That makes me put an x here and an x here. So now my factoring is x minus 6 times x plus 12. Since I'm solving this equation, and this is the same as this, I can rewrite my equation as x minus 6 times x plus 12 equals 0. Then I can split it up with the zero product property. I can say, okay, x minus 6 equals 0, and I can say x plus 12 equals 0. Then I need to solve for x both times, so minus 6, I get x equals negative 6. There's one solution. X equals negative 12 over here. There's the other solution. Okay, so my two answers are 6 and negative 12. So my answer is B. I used factoring. I will tell you that it will work to do factoring, quadratic formula, and graphing calculator. I know we have not talked about this one yet. We're going to wait on that until next lesson. This one probably will not work for you because there's this 6x, and this thing is going to get in the way of you doing just getting x by itself. So solving x by itself is probably not going to work, but the other 4 opportunities will work.